As many of you know, I'll only review a product if it was something I can test myself. So when Redshift invited me to test their clip-on aero bars, for the first time ever with Redshift, I had to decline. If there's one thing I'm not, that's aero. Fortunately, I knew a man that is very aero and would need to use aero bars on a very long ride he was planning. And that's Mike Ainsworth. Mike has just completed a ride from Normandy in northern France all the way down through France and Spain to the Mediterranean. I'm going to let Mike tell you a bit more about that, and he'll tell us how he got on with the Redshift Clip-On Aero bars. Well, we've come out to one of Mike's favourite coffee and cake stops. That's pretty much de rigueur for a trip out with Mike. So Mike, now you've got your coffee and cake, tell me about the aero bars. What made you go for them in the first place?
Well, I was looking at all the options when we started to plan these cycle tours. Up until now, all the journeys I've done, we've been supported on the charity rides with somebody in a car. So I wanted to start looking at carrying my own stuff, following some of the stuff that you've done on the Way of the Roses and some of your other rides. And doing the research, a lot of people recommended going to aero bars, which was something completely new for me. I'm not a racer, I'm not a time trialer or anything like that, but it really was a strong recommendation for some people. Partly for somebody to hang bags on the front, but also to give you different arm positions for long rides. You've got the drops and the hoods and the tops, but a lot of recommendations was just getting down into aero bars just takes the weight off and distributes the weight around some of the bodies. So Redshift had asked you to test the bars, and you weren't that keen, and asked if I could do it for you, and I thought, well, why not give it a go? Bit of trepidation, I must say, the whole thing about moving from your normal hand positions. But chatting to Redshift, they were really good at chatting me through the process. I didn't have a clue what I wanted. They come at 3 different arm length or 2 different arm styles. There's an S style or an L shape, and I went with the L shape because they taught me to. I didn't want to be deep flat aero time trial. I wanted it to be a bit more relaxed, and the system's great because they provide 2 spacers, so they raise the bars up, which worked really well for me because that still gave me the space on the top of the bars under where my elbows go. For when we're going uphill, I can just get into the normal top position, and I can still access my bell, which was good. The fact that they clip on and clip off was really good. It enabled me to keep the mounts on the bars, but not have the aero bars on. Switch the aero bars between my road bike or put it on the turbo trainer when I wanted to get used to putting it in without having to undo bolts and everything. They just clip in and clip off. And then on the journey, we had one day where we got down to the Pyrenees, and we both wanted to do a Tour de France climb, one of the big alpine climbs, but we didn't want to do it with all the baggage on. And it was a 30-second job just to unclip the bars on the front and have an unencumbered bike. That's with me in the hotel. Clip that.
So this isn't Redshift?
No, that's not Redshift, that's all part of the... And that comes off.
As easy as that?
As easy as that.
So this is a quick release type?
That's a quick release.
Yeah, an over centre.
And then, so, you can see in here, these are the mounts.
Okay.
Till it's central, lock down, and then squeeze in.
So as quick as that?
As quick as that. Sometimes you just have to make sure that you just tighten it up so it's not too tight.
Yeah, just like you're putting a wheel in.
Yep. And that's secure.
the idea is clearly that you can just have one set of bars for all of your bikes,
Yeah.
and put them on as you suit.
If you want to. So I've got my other bike I've got set up for more winter riding. This one I've got everything on, but I prefer the other bike for the winter riding, so I can just, without having to do all that adjustment, just clip the bars onto a different bike.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at them, there's a lot of extra real estate created, as the Americans would say. You know, you've got a bottle carrier on there. Is that part of the kit?
That one isn't. Redshift did show me one where we were talking through where do you put your. I normally use an out front mount for my GPS. Where do you put the GPS? And Redshift provided an adapter to put that on, to put a water bottle on, and for my early ride I use those. But when Redshift was saying to me, he said, well, that doesn't suit everybody, so have a try, and there's some aftermarket ones. I tried those, and just the setup meant the GPS was a bit too close to me. I was having to look down a bit too much.
Yep.
And I saw this one just through one of the advertisements, and I gave this one a try for the ride. It worked really well because it moved the GPS that much further forward.
Right.
The good thing about having the bottle on the top, now a lot of time trialers have the bottle on the top, so when they're down there they can drink, to have a tube to drink from. That wasn't me. But because I'm a relatively small rider, I don't have a lot of space in my frame. So with the frame bag on, it makes accessing the bottles in the down tube really difficult. And so it enabled me to have one of the bottles at the front, and that was even easier than normal actually, just to reach and keep drinking, and it proved really useful.
Yeah. This long trip from Normandy down to the Med, how far was it?
So it's just over 800 miles in the end.
Wow.
But as you pointed out earlier, downhill all the way.
Oh yeah, starting from the top of the map, going to the bottom.
Yep.
Easy.
It was really good, and we
How much climbing was there on that?
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. Not so much through France. It was relatively flat going through Normandy. We went over the shoulder of the Grand Massif, so there was a few short climbs there. But then when we hit the Pyrenees, that's when the climbing really started. So the day into the Pyrenees was fairly short, but there was a lot of climbing to get up to the hotel. Then we stripped the stuff off the bikes.
And then had a leisure day on the hill.
Had a leisure day with,
in the mountains.
2 alpine climbs, or Pyrenean climbs, which were great fun. And then the day out of that, to get over the Pyrenees, we had 2 high passes, but that was with all the kit on. So the first one into France, then into Spain, and then another high pass. And then the final day we had another high pass to get down to the Catalonian plains, and then it was almost plain sailing, apart from our very end spot, which is Ian's house he has down in Spain. We got down to the beach, had our celebratory ice cream, and we knew it from the start, but to get up from the beach to his house is a 24% incline. At the end of a very long ride, on a very hot day, with heavy bikes, was emotional, but we did it.
Now, you didn't do any camping or anything, did you? You stayed in lodgings of some sort on the way?
Yeah, we decided we wanted to go light. Ian's ex-army, I've done time in the army and the Air Force, and we spent enough time living under canvas and in holes in the ground, so we decided to Airbnb
have
or
some
hotel
luxury.
it all the way down. And it worked really well because we could slim down what we took on the bike. We both took 2 sets of cycling kit, a set of overnight kit. So generally we'd get to the hotel at night, wash the kit we've been wearing that day, hang it up, and that would be dry, and then just rotate the kit around. So we didn't have to carry that much.
Yeah, that's good. And what were the highlights of the trip?
The overall, it's going to sound corny, but the overall trip was a highlight, and it again reinforced what we did on the Dambusters ride, doing that long ride across the Netherlands into Germany. Really seeing geography change on such a long trip, taking a journey through a country at bicycle pace, seeing the terrain change, the villages change, the agriculture change. We've had some lovely places to stay. Montauban was a lovely place we'd love to go back to. One place we wouldn't go back to is sort of southern industrial town, but all those little individual stops were great, and it's that journey, it's that travel through a country.
Yeah, it's not about
amazing.
arriving.
No, and we were really lucky. The weather was superb throughout. We had 5 minutes of the rain going down the side of the Canal du Midi into Toulouse, and that was it. Just enough time to stop, put the rain capes on, and get going again, and it stopped. We had more rain riding from our homes into Grantham train station than we did on the entire trip.
And what about wind?
Wind, not an issue, not too great. It was an issue on the Arnhem ride, which is the first time we really trialled it in anger. Not necessarily in the UK, but when we got to the Netherlands, it was lashing rain and a really strong headwind. And that's when one of the benefits of having the Aero Bars came in, but it also, in the group environment, showed up one of the disbenefits, which I'm going to say is really strange. What I found was, I wouldn't use them obviously when I was in the group because you need your hands on the brakes, but when I went into the front to take my turn on the in the wind, that was a great time to get in, especially into a strong head. So I get in. But what I found was, without putting too much more effort in, you always put a little bit more effort in when you get onto the front in the group because you're trying to protect the others from the wind, was I was riding away from the others. Because you're that much more efficient being that much narrower, which is obviously why time trial to use them. So I really had to, instead of getting onto the front and increasing my effort, it was getting onto the front and actually just control it a bit more. But for me, being light, I always really struggle in the wind, and having the Aero Bars when I'm by myself or on the front has helped me. Ian, who I ride with, is a much stronger rider than me, and I struggle to get past him in the wind, so he takes a lot of the wind. Whereas when we get to the mountains, my lightness comes in. So I'd say it was a 700-mile lead into an alpine climb for that ride.
And how does a crosswind affect you with those Aero Bars? Does it make any difference?
I found, and again it's back to knowing when to use the bars and when not to use the bars. I found it was a bit twitchier. You know, especially when you in the lanes around here, when you've got a bit of a crosswind and you get a bit of a gap in the hedge, and it just catches the front wheel. I felt, whether it was or not, it's just perception. I felt it was a bit twitchier. So again, choosing when or when not to use the bars. If it was a strong crosswind, I probably wouldn't.
I guess it's a leverage issue, isn't it, really? As you know, I use the 50 centimetre wide gravel bars from Redshift. I've got the top shelf, and they give me much more control being that much wider. So I can imagine narrowing down would be an issue. But as you say, you've got that flexibility of moving your hands wherever you want to.
Yeah, and having the double, you can have them slammed all the way down to the bottom, typical really go faster, or have one or two spaces. So I've gone for the top spaces. So it really gives me the flexibility. And one of the things that surprised me, and one of the things that concerned me when we were talking about doing the trial for Redshift, was actually moving from the normal position to get into that time trial position. And I was a bit concerned about that, but I found it really easy. And I think it was more of a concern about what I didn't know,
a confidence thing,
than a confidence. But getting out, and it was actually just is as easy as signalling or getting a drink, just resting in. Lots of really comfortable padding on the elbow shift, so I didn't feel uncomfortable as soon as I got down there, and felt easy just getting in and out. Some of the test rides, I just spent time on quiet roads, riding up and down, getting in, getting out, just to make sure that I had that muscle memory to get that right.
And Redshift supply a spacer kit separately for this?
Yes, you can do it all on the order.
Plus they also supply a shim kit if you've got a lesser diameter bar.
Yes, yeah, so they're one of the things I really liked about them were the flexibility of all the things you can do with them.
Well, thanks very much for testing the bars, Mike, because it's something that I couldn't have given such a thorough test on such a long ride. You can't remember how much climbing there was, but I'll pop it up on the screen when you let me know. But knowing you, it will be a lot.
Yeah, we did on our what was our planned, our second rest day. was the day that we did 2 alpine climbs.
Yeah, just to top it
Pyrenean
up.
climbs, just to top
Yeah.
it up. But they were on light bikes, so it
Yeah.
didn't really count.
Yeah.
And I like climbing, so that's it.
Yeah.
All the more better.
I think earlier you used the word fun and climbing in the same sentence, and that's an oxymoron.
No.
We're all different.
We are.
Okay, Mike, well, thanks very much. And we'll head back.
And thank you to Redshift for giving me the opportunity to try them out, and for all the support they gave me for somebody new to Aero Bars, on what to get and how to set it up, and what would be better for my type of riding.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning for those that aren't sure that Redshift do give their 90-day return guarantee.
Yep.
So if you're not sure, you know, and it doesn't work out, then they'll take them back.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you found that useful. I'm grateful for Mike testing the bars, and obviously it helped him immensely on that long ride. And Mike doesn't have a YouTube channel that he promotes, although he does put his rides up on YouTube. So I'll pop a link in the description if you want to look at more of what Mike does, maybe ask him some questions, and generally give him some support. So as I ride back through the woods, I'll say thanks for joining us today, and look forward to you joining us next time. Bye for now.